Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Sarasvati Deve Gauravani Pracharne Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarne. For starting the class, we can all offer our words of gratitude to Ram Jagannath Prabhu and all who have assisted him in arranging this function, and to all the devotees who along with him have worked very hard to make it go off smoothly. There are many devotees, you don't even know what they're doing or see what they're doing, especially the cooks. Working very hard. So, many thanks to all, and thank you to everyone for coming, making it a success. Success means we all become more inspired to serve the mission of Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Text 15, Text 27, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The verse is written here. Eshaha by Bhagavan Sakshat Pradhana Purusha Ishvaraha Yoga Ishvarai Vimrigya Angrihi Lokaha Yam Manyate Naram. Yeah. If you see a fly, whisk it away. Otherwise, don't. Don't shake the chamo. There's a fly right there. Eshavai Bhagavan Sakshat Pradhana Purusheshvaraha Yogeshvarair Vimrigyangrir Lokoyam Manyate Naram Eshavai Bhagavan Sakshat Pradhana Purusheshvaraha Yogeshvaraya Vimrigyangrir Loko yang manyate naram. Yes. Shabai Bhagavan Sakshat Ladies, please. Eshaha, this, by, indeed, Bhagavan, Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sakshat, directly, Pradhana, the chief cause of the material nature, Purusha, of all living entities, or of the Purusha Avatara, Lord Vishnu. Ishvaraha, the Supreme Controller. Yoga Ishvarai, by great saintly persons. Yogis. Vimrigya Angrihi, Lord Krishna's lotus feet, which are sought. Lokaha, people in general. Yam, him. Manyate, consider. Naram, a human being. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, is the master of all other living entities and of the material nature. His lotus feet are sought and worshipped by great saintly persons like Vyasa. Nonetheless, there are fools who consider Lord Krishna an ordinary human being. Srila Prabhupada's purport. The example of Lord Krishna's being the Supreme Personality of Godhead is appropriate in regard to understanding the spiritual master. The spiritual master is called Sevak Bhagavan, the servitor personality of Godhead. And Krishna is called Savior Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is to be worshipped. The spiritual master is the worshipper God, whereas the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is the worshipable God. This is the difference between the spiritual master and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Another point, Bhagavad Gita, which constitutes the instructions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is presented by the spiritual master as it is without deviation. Therefore, the absolute truth is present in the spiritual master. As clearly stated in text 26, Jnana Deepa Prade, the Supreme Personality of Godhead gives real knowledge to the entire world, and the spiritual master, as the representative of the Supreme Godhead, carries the message throughout the world. Therefore, on the absolute platform, there is no difference between the spiritual master and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If someone considers the Supreme Personality, Krishna or Lord Ramachandra, to be an ordinary human being, this does not mean that the Lord becomes an ordinary human being. Similarly, if the family members of the spiritual master, who is the bona fide representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, consider the spiritual master an ordinary human being, this does not mean that he becomes an ordinary human being. The spiritual master is as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore one who is very serious about spiritual advancement must regard the spiritual master in this way. Even a slight deviation from this understanding can create disaster in the disciples' Vedic studies and austerities. Eshavai Bhagavan Sakshat Pradhana Purusheshvaraha Yogeshvaraya Vimrigyang Grir Loko Yang Manyate Naram. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, is the master of all other living entities and of the material nature. His lotus feet are sought and worshipped by great saintly persons like Vyasa. Nonetheless, there are fools who consider Lord Krishna an ordinary human being. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Shreshtham Manavapi Shachiputramatra Surupam Rupam Tasya Gajamurupurim Maturim Goshtatim Radha Kundam Girivaramaho Radhika Madhavasham Prapto Yatsya Pratita Kripaya Shri Gurun Tam Natos Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yataf Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shiva Shankar. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Words that are liable to be misunderstood. That the spiritual master is to be understood on the same level as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the rationale is given behind that because he speaks the same words, therefore he's on the same absolute platform. Apart from the rationale behind that, this is after all Shastra, and the purport is also based on the Shastric statement by Lord Krishna himself, and explanation of that. Acharyam mam vijaniyam navamanyeta karhichit namartya budhya suyeta sarvadeva maya guru. Lord Krishna says that one should know the Acharya to be myself and not disrespect him at any time, in any way, not to consider him an ordinary mortal because he is the representative of all the, or the embodiment of all the demigods and saintly persons. In this regard, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur spoke similar statements. They were recorded in writing, that means in Bengali, and have been translated as follows. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, "There is nothing more auspicious than serving the spiritual master. Among all kinds of worship, worship of the Supreme Lord is the greatest, but service to the spiritual master is even greater. Unless we are fully convinced about this, we cannot properly take shelter of our Guru and understand that he is our shelter, protector, and maintainer. The Vedas say, Sarvasvam Guruve Dadyat. Everything should be offered to the spiritual master. If we do not serve the Guru by offering our lives, wealth, intelligence, speech, mind, knowledge, and body at his lotus feet, we will not become free of our absorption in matter. We will not give up our material desires. Our material disease will not be cured, and our illusion, fear, and distress will not be vanquished. By surrendering completely at the Guru's feet, we become free from illusion, fear, and lamentation." If we aspire for the spiritual master's causeless mercy, then the spiritual master will bless us without duplicity. The spiritual master is not a mortal being, he is immortal or eternal. The spiritual master is eternal, his service is eternal, and his servants are eternal. Therefore, we have nothing to worry about if we serve him. We will be freed from death. Since our material attachment or sense of being the doer is strong at present, we are anxious and miserable. Only the spiritual master can protect us from such formidable pride. Do we want his protection? It seems we prefer to remain trapped in material existence. If we wanted to become free, we would engage in his service. Do we have such a mentality? What to speak of giving the Guru 100% of our energy, we are not even prepared to give him 1%. Unless we accept the essence of everything, Lord Krishna, as the goal of life, how can we achieve him? Our present pathetic condition is due to our not accepting the spiritual master as if he were as good as the Supreme Lord. This is the root cause of our continued attachment to matter. That is why I say one should not consider the spiritual master as an ordinary being. He is the one who can give you unlimited life. He is the doctor of your soul, your protector, your maintainer, benefactor, and selfless well-wisher. If we are not prepared to take complete shelter at his lotus feet, then we should expect to be cheated according to the degree of our negligence or duplicity. Think carefully about this. If we are not introspective, we will not be successful. If we do not surrender ourselves 100% at the feet of that personality to whom most auspicious Krishna has entrusted our well-being, how can he bless us? If we make a pretense of devotional service or become hypocrites while maintaining material desire, then the omniscient spiritual master will be compelled to deceive us. The Shastra states, Yadrishi bhavana yasya siddhir bhavati tadrishi. According to one's state of mind, one attains perfection. When you cheat your spiritual master and Krishna by serving Maya and your relatives without taking full shelter of a guru, then the Chaitya Guru will mercifully remind you that you have not yet become a true disciple. You are not yet following your spiritual master's instructions, and your heart still contains sinful desire. Since you are accustomed to listening to your duplicitous mind and adopting the ideals and conceptions of ordinary people, that is proof that you have not yet developed ears to hear my instructions. Therefore, you have been cheated. Again, it is the duty of a disciple to accept his spiritual master's arrangements for his life without reservation. If you do not, degradation is inevitable. Oh, my friends, do not become sense enjoyers. Everything in this world is meant for the service of Guru and Krishna. If you try to usurp the objects meant for their pleasure, you will find only misfortune. Until you learn to see everything in relation to your spiritual master, there is no question of success on the devotional path. There's 2 chamaras and 1 fly. The fly is more successful at harassing me than the chamara wavers are at keeping the fly away. And these are very powerful words, as expected from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Very powerful personality in all respects. stating the necessity to fully surrender to Krishna, actually, via the medium of the spiritual master. And stating that to the extent that we don't accept the spiritual master as being as good as God, to that extent we are cheating ourselves, or we become candidates for being cheated by the spiritual master. Why should the spiritual master cheat us? If we want, we can be cheated, and we'll be very happy, because what we want, if we want material enjoyment, and the spiritual master arranges that, then we'll be very happy with it. But that's not real happiness, and that's what the spiritual master has to teach. These are very powerful words, and the person who spoke them must have been either himself a hypocrite. He's talking about disciples who are hypocrites, so either himself was a hypocrite, or he was supremely self-confident. How could you say such a thing in front of so many people who know that there's, or have accepted the position of being a disciple, of being subordinate, and to just speak on that principle in an absolute way? He doesn't give any room here for gradualism. Okay, we know that you're just beginning and trying, and we're encouraging that. Keep on going. There's nothing in this particular passage. There's only surrender fully and accept the Guru as good as God, fully. And if there's any deficiency in accepting the spiritual master as good as God fully, then that will be the cause of our further entanglement in birth and death. So this principle has to be accepted. How can he be so self-confident? Because he has firm faith in the Shastra. Krishna says, one should know me as the Acharya. One should know the Acharya to be me, Krishna says. On another occasion, when speaking on this topic, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that it is the duty of the Guru to teach his disciples the Shastra. So when going through the Shastra, if he comes to the passage, when he comes to the passage that says that the Guru is to be accepted as good as God, there are many such stations. Or he quotes here, Sarvesham Guru Vedadyat. Everything is meant to be offered to the Guru. So when he comes to such a passage, should the Guru say, let's skip that part? Or actually, you shouldn't think like that. You should instead get a stick and beat the Guru. Should he teach like that? There's an apparent paradox, because the Vaishnava is supposed to be humble. And if someone in a roundabout way says, well, actually you should see me as good as God, then where's the humility? What happened to the humility? You all be humble and I'm as good as God. But he doesn't say, I am as good as God. He's doing a hopeless job here of keeping the fly away. Why don't you come a little bit in front, and then you might see the fly. The principle of humility, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur explained, is that he accepts the words of Shastra and acts on them. So because he has to take that role, he has to tell them and act in that role. Now we may say that, okay, that's all right, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He's eternally liberated associate of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, okay, that's all right for him. And Prabhupada, our own Srila Prabhupada, yeah, that's okay for him. But what about everyone else? All these gurus, we don't think that they're very exalted. How can you fully give yourself? If we look at the culture and the tradition is that you don't think like that. You don't, in accepting a guru, one is not to think, well, is he fully liberated so that I can fully surrender, or is he not fully liberated and then I'll half surrender? Because there's no use to half surrender. One has to fully surrender to Krishna via the medium of the spiritual master. And to effect that, one has to see the guru as good as God. I was saying, that Bhaktisiddhanta, he didn't say, I am to be worshipped, but he said that the Acharya is to be worshipped. You may say, well, that's the same thing. Not exactly. Not exactly, because he is to be worshipped because he is the Acharya, not because he is from external vision, Bimala Prasad Datta, a talented or prodigious exponent of Jyotish, astronomy. Not because of that. So the Acharya is to be worshipped. Just like the teacher in the school may say to the misbehaved students that you should respect the teacher. He doesn't say you should respect me, but says you should. It's a principle to respect the teacher. Otherwise, there's no particular respect to be offered to any person. The teacher may seem to be like just any other person who you don't offer respect to, any particular respect, but particular respect is to be offered to the teacher because in relationship to you, they have a specific role which requires and demands that respect. Now, of course, there is a little difference. Of course, the teacher, he should be of such character that people can look up to him. Nowadays, that's not required of teachers. And it's apparently, so I'm told, it's becoming increasingly common in the Western world, especially in America, that the teachers, they seek out sexual relationships with the pupils, even at the even in the pre-college time. But the Acharya, it's not just an official appointment, but actually he has to live up to that role. And Srila Prabhupada, one thing we can note about Srila Prabhupada, maybe we won't note it because we are in the position of disciple in relationship to him. Maybe his family members would note it because they're used to him relating to them as their father, brother, husband, and so on, that he was always in the role of a guru in relationship to his disciples. He was very conscious that he had to behave with them in such a way that they could receive Krishna from him. He was always teaching, either by his words or by his activities, sometimes just by his glance. He took that role and he lived that role. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is teaching the reason for that. Yeah, so then we may say that, well, what about someone who's not on that level? Well, most of the gurus, in history have not been on that level, especially if we take guru to mean an elder person, a senior person. But last night I said these very exalted Vaishnavas came among us, and they said that, yeah, we feel ourselves to be very insignificant in relationship with Srila Prabhupada. And I said, that's true, and some of you may have been surprised. Am I making them feel or look small? But no, we're not denigrating them. We're all very, very, very small in comparison to Srila Prabhupada. They're just a massive acharya. So in the history of Vaishnavism, the history of Vedic culture, actually everyone's meant to be a guru, either directly as by giving mantras, mantra guru, or by giving instruction, the father, the mother, the elder brother. We see Ram with his younger brothers, they accepted him just like guru. The elder sister becomes like a mother to the younger children. You haven't seen all this culture. I've seen it. In the days before, in Bangladesh, where they didn't use contraception, still not much, I don't think. I don't inquire exactly, but they're still having large families. So everyone is supposed to be responsible and respectable. Why do we respect these brahmanas? They're respectable. They came among by their, and Sridhar Srinivas Prabhu was saying these PhD, BA, so we respect that, but we respect more the character, the personality, the gravity. Guru means grave. Gambhir, Gambhirata. Very grave, he has a very grave mission to fulfill. But everyone in Vedic society may feel that. Of course, there may be in the lower classes, definitely the jester, you know the word for jester? Tamil word, it's Sanskrit, you wouldn't know the Sanskrit word, Vidushaka. Jester, joker. His job is to time break that. Well, actually when he's there it's all the time. Break that mood, lighten things up a bit with a few jokes. And Srila Prabhupada would do that sometimes also, especially by telling jokes about the jester Gopal Bhan. I won't tell any stories now. But Srila Prabhupada did also. But overall, the role of a guru is very grave because human life is very grave. The purpose of human life is very grave. It is the one chance to get out of this cycle of birth and death and revive our eternal relationship with Krishna. Just we were reading that Koti Gyani Madde Durlabhe Krishna Bhakta. The chance to be a devotee or have association with devotees and take up devotional service is very rare. It's a very great opportunity. So the guru is guru because he understands that, and he understands his responsibility to teach that, and to teach persons who themselves have understood this. But we see here Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is reinforcing that point, that why have you come here? He was speaking in one of his, I'm not sure where this was spoken, one of his Gauriya Mats or Chaitanya Mat. He was speaking and just reminding everyone, reminding his followers, Why have you come? What is our purpose in coming? Because in spiritual life, especially when there becomes a larger number of people, then there is organization, stratification. Stratification means that someone's respected more than others. And as in any social group, the ones who are respected more, and others may feel envious of that or desire that. And Maya can come in this way. The desire to be honored and respected in an organization, especially in this ISKCON organization. Not only especially, but in religious organizations in general. There's money floating around. That can also be a temptation to get one's hands on the money or take advantage of the facilities. Even to live in an ashram and do regular services. That may also be not for the right motive. You may think, well, if I live in the ashram and I have so many hours of service a day, and it's quite a comfortable life, no anxiety, I'll get my food, people will respect me. That's also the wrong attitude for living in the ashram. Comfortable, peaceful life, no anxiety. Srila Prabhupada, he deliberately put his disciples into anxiety. There's a whole section in my book, The Mood and Mission of Srila Prabhupada, large section. Srila Prabhupada deliberately put his disciples into anxiety. He learned that from his own guru, who would push his disciples. Srila Prabhupada said that my guru pushed me, I'm pushing you. You should push others. Pushing movement. So being very aware of the goal of life, one can impart the knowledge of sadhya sadhana tattva. What is the goal of life and how to attain it? One can impart that to others. But as Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is pointing out here, it's not just a matter of formal teaching. You come to the class, you study, you learn, you go away. But in this, there's an exchange of knowledge. No, there's an exchange. Knowledge is given, and in return, what do you give? In return, well, when you finish, you give your dakshina. You study for so many years at the Gurukul, and when you're finished, you give some dakshina, some offering to the Guru. But the understanding is that actually one cannot repay the Guru. So what do? You have to give your whole life. And that giving one's life means that in the Vaishnava system, we understand, actually we're supposed to give everything to Krishna. We do so via the medium of the Guru, who engages us in the service of Krishna. Not exactly in his own service. His own service is there also, but the center is Krishna, not the Guru. The Guru who puts himself in the center is cheating. Now here in this Ramanuja Sampradaya, Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya, they emphasize the Guru even more than God, with the understanding, it's not a philosophical deviation, because the point is that ultimately we have to worship Narayana, but we feel a long way from him. Whereas we see the Guru here. We cannot go to Narayana without his mercy. So if we simply serve him, then he will take care of everything. And Srila Prabhupada also gave that idea that if we completely surrender ourselves to the Guru, then he will recommend us to Krishna. That, you see, he's a very nice servant, I recommend it. Then Krishna will have to take that person, the servant of the Guru. Then again that question, well, what about the Guru who's really not on that level? But the culture is there that one accepts a Guru as good as God. Why? And that Srila Prabhupada has mentioned in the purport here. Because it's on the same platform, absolute platform, speaks the same message, has no other interest than to convey the message of Godhead. And therefore, should be accepted as good as God. Now he's also supposed to set the very good example of that. Therefore, the disciple is supposed to see the Guru. That, is this a person I can trust? This one rascal so-called Guru has become very prominent recently by the grace of YouTube. He is saying that, well, why do you trust Krishna? Krishna was so many years ago, you never even saw him. It's horrible to say, but I'm just saying, just to give you some idea of how people are misled. You can't even trust your next door neighbor, so how can you trust Krishna? Big rascal, he's saying that. The whole Vedic culture is based on trusting Krishna. You take that away and there's nothing left. Therefore the demons, they are busy to try to undermine Krishna. So Krishna is the center. We worship him. Actually, there's no question. There's no question of questioning Krishna. Because we're here in the material world and we're foolish, therefore we have to hear that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We're all his servants. He is our best well-wisher. But it's just like a child with the father and mother, and a normal father and mother. And nowadays it's not much in India, but in many countries now, it's become normal that the parents, they don't care for their children at all. Literally, they just abandon them at an early age. But just like here's a good example. There's a child in the arms of the father there, presumably, we presume. The child looks very content. You didn't see, I saw him walking. Child is very content. So the child doesn't think, why do I trust my father? It doesn't come in the mind. It's automatic, it's natural, spontaneous. Even the little chickens, you'll see. The mother chicken is there, the hen, and they'll just run behind. They don't go to any school to learn that I have to trust my mother. It's just a natural thing. Yeah, you're laughing because it's ridiculous to even think. So it's also ridiculous for us to not trust Krishna, to not have faith in Krishna. But we're in a ridiculous situation in this material world, and we don't trust Krishna. We trust our own stupid minds, and therefore we come to a Guru. We're supposed to see, first of all, by behavior, by words, properly acting, and then we accept. And at that point, then you don't ask, well, what about, is he doing this, is he doing that, he's doing wrong, doing right. You just accept that there's everything right, that's all. But of course the Guru himself has to be very careful to pursue that or to act in that role. Not act like an actor who's artificially acting, but who acts in a way that his disciples' faith will be maintained and nourished and not lessened. So the disciple has to be very respectful and fully trusting, and the guru has to be very respectable and trustworthy. Now it may be that the disciple doesn't always understand what the guru is doing to him. The guru, you accept a guru, he's going to interfere with your life. It's not a picture on the wall kind of guru. He's going to tell you, go here, do this, do that. Don't be a nonsense. Do the fanning properly. You don't have to do it now. Insulting you in front of everyone, in front of your wives even. It's not a major insult, but it's an insult. It could be taken as an insult. You can't even do a simple job of even waving the chamara properly. You know? What kind of useless person are you? So the disciple has to be ready to accept that. Otherwise there's no meaning to that relationship. It has to accept that unless one has this faith that if by following this person, I will go to Krishna. Je prasade pure sarva asha. By his mercy, all desires are fulfilled. And from him we have to learn what to desire also. Unless we have that faith, then it's useless to accept a guru. Then one remains mentally deranged. Pishachi paile jena mati channa hoy maya grasta jiva hoy she bhavudoy. In material existence, it's as if we're ghostly haunted. So, accepting a guru means to get straightened out, get put on the right track. But if we don't trust, then it's like we're crazy still. In the material world, we're crazy. And then it becomes like a child who's ghostly haunted and doesn't trust his parents and may even act against the parents. Therefore, the guru also has to see the disciple. This one's coming. What do they want? They want Krishna. What do they want? They want something else? Well, everyone who comes to a guru, they're not perfect. That's a truism, because in this material world, everyone's imperfect. So it's understood that everyone, when they come to a guru, they come with material attachments and contaminations and misunderstandings. That's understood from the very beginning. But at the same time, the person who comes has to be willing to accept rectification. Now here, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is speaking in an absolute way. You accept the Guru 100% or you're useless. He's telling us what we have to do, how we have to prosecute our spiritual lives. At the same time, in his practical behavior, he accepted disciples who weren't fully on that platform. Because if he had accepted disciples only fully on that platform, he might have got just a handful. His own guru, Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, didn't accept anyone unless they were fully Krishna conscious, practically. There were people who came around him and called themselves his disciples, but we learn from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur that he actually didn't accept them. He would expect people to be exactly on his level, which is a very high level. Sakshat Vairagya Murti, so renounced. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he made a system whereby people could practice devotional service from a level of wanting to do so, not being perfect from the beginning. And even he sometimes indicated that some of the disciples, they may not even be on that platform, but somehow they're engaged in devotional service. The story of Balam rice, he gave that. That one landlord was having trouble keeping his servants. He'd train them how to do the job, they'd learn, stay a little time and go away. Then he'd have to get new servants and train them, and it was very troublesome for him. So another landlord friend of him, he asked him, how do you keep your servants? He gave the answer is Balam rice with ghee. So Balam rice, I only heard of it actually in this story told by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. It's some very good grade, very nice grade of rice. But actually we find the servant class in Bengal, generally they like to eat the very rough rice. It gives them more strength for working. And they like that. They complain if you give them tasty rice or expensive rice. They won't like that. Anyway, the story goes like this. So you give them Balam rice with ghee, then they'll stay. And it worked. It worked that even if some servants would go away, they'd come back because anywhere else they wouldn't get that. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur used this as an analogy that different people come to a spiritual organization and they may be given some title, some position, some praise, and they do good service. They're very interested in the position and praise and title. The real purpose for which they came, or should have come, that didn't register in their consciousness. But they do good service. And the mission goes on. And then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur would give lectures like this. That what you're really here for, actually many times he gave. At least among the recorded lectures of his that we have, there are several with a similar theme. So such devotees who they're there for name, fame, glory, worldly gain, they can also be benefited by the mercy of a very powerful acharya like Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. But if the whole mission becomes like that, then the purpose of his teaching becomes lost altogether. He used to speak of those devotees who serve the Vani of the Guru and those who serve the Vapu. Those who serve the Vapu means those who are engaged in management and organization. Those who serve the Vani, they are concerned with the message, imbibing that and propagating it. Now, of course, it doesn't mean that everyone who's engaged in management is not also engaged in deeply imbibing the message. It's not an either-or situation. Maybe that devotees who are engaged in the organizational affairs, they're also very deeply committed to the message and the mission of the Guru. But if they're not, or if they have a superficial understanding of it, then that will obstruct the spiritual life of others. And there you get an answer to some of the questions that were coming, that what's going on in ISKCON and why is there politics. And you can catch the understanding from this, that not everyone comes with a pure intent. They may come with so many worldly desires, and they find within the mission the possibility to fulfill that. If they're passive and they're living in the ashram peacefully and doing a little service, that may be better than the lazy fool, may be better than the active fool. Because if someone has material desires and comes to the mission with a great desire to prove himself and show how great I am, I'm organizing this, I'm organizing that, then they become more dangerous if they don't have as their core motive to serve Krishna without any personal desire, which in practical terms for us in the here and now, real time as they call it, means serving the spiritual master. So the disciple has to see, by serving here, will my life's purpose be properly served? And the guru has to see also, by coming to me, if I accept this person, will I be able to uplift them? Is their intent to be uplifted? The most difficult kind of person to wake up is a person who's pretending to be asleep. So if someone is not very sincere to be Krishna conscious, then to try to wake them up from this slumber of Maya is very difficult. One thing that children should be trained in is not to run around here and there in the class. Oftentimes we hear that devotees say, is this guru, that guru, which one shall I choose? Is this one good enough for me? But we should think, if we ourselves are sincere to serve Krishna, then Krishna will make the arrangement by which we get the training and guidance to do that. And if we have some other desire, then we'll be misled. So this accepting the guru as good as God, that is necessary for the disciple. Otherwise, it cannot make any progress. And the guru also has to be as good as God. How so? That is, Srila Prabhupada has stated here in the purport, speaks the message of God. Doesn't speak anything different. Even our friends from the Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya, they picked up very much on that. They said several times, as it is. Srila Prabhupada gave Bhagavad Gita as it is. They appreciated where the power came from for Srila Prabhupada to spread Krishna consciousness unprecedentedly and unimaginably. Where did the power come from? It came from Krishna. All power is Krishna's. The power came through Srila Prabhupada because he only represented Krishna. He didn't represent his own ego or material desires because he didn't have any. He didn't have any other agenda than to serve Krishna. And there may be many devotees like that also, who are actually very pure and sincere, but Srila Prabhupada had that in a very intense way, inasmuch as he wanted to serve Krishna and he was prepared to face all kinds of obstacles to do so. He could have thought that, well, I tried, it's too difficult, and okay, let's retire. But he didn't. He went through all kinds of obstacles. The very fact that we have this movement flourishing in India at the present time is because of Srila Prabhupada's determined resolve that those temples in Bombay, Mayapur and Vrindavan must be built, because he saw that the people of India wouldn't take our movement seriously unless we had something serious to show. And there are all kinds of obstacles and opposition, especially in Bombay, for building that temple. And if Srila Prabhupada hadn't been determined to do it, it wouldn't have happened. Because none of his disciples were determined, and they didn't even understand why Srila Prabhupada was so determined. They thought, well, we can get some land somewhere else, or anyway, what the hell, what does it matter? Just leave it. It's just so much austerity they had to go through, and in Vrindavan and Mayapur also. But Srila Prabhupada had the vision. And when those temples were established, then not only was Srila Prabhupada praised, but his movement and his disciples from the Western countries also came to be accepted. Of course, here in Srirangam, even before anything was established, the devotees here, with their shastric vision and devotional vision, they accepted that these are actual devotees. Even though we heard last night the one anecdote of how one sannyasi behaved very frivolously and they couldn't understand it. And Prabhupada explained to them. Because for Prabhupada that was just normal. That he has a sannyasi who's in the most respectable place of Vaishnavas and acts childishly and insultingly. And Prabhupada had to accept that. Otherwise, he couldn't have done what he did. This Ravi Shankar, the sitar player, he related, I'm not sure if he said it to Prabhupada or whatever, that teaching in the West, you have to accept that the disciple, they don't think they're disciples, they think they're music students. They'll sit with their feet facing you. It's just unimaginable here in India. So he made some adjustments to do that. And Srila Prabhupada made so many adjustments. We heard something about that the night before last in relationship to the normal expected behavior of women in India and what Srila Prabhupada adjusted to in the West. So Srila Prabhupada had the great determination to serve Krishna, to fulfill this mission at all costs. If he had stopped at some point and said, okay, it's enough. I tried, enough. At any point he could have done that. Even before he started ISKCON, there was nothing going on. There was nothing. He was trying and no one was taking it seriously. Even when he started ISKCON, his disciples still had long hair and beards, and he was cooking for them, cleaning up after them, and so many things. So much tolerance, so much determination, so much faith that they will improve. They have to be given Krishna consciousness very gradually. So we don't expect everyone to be on the level of Srila Prabhupada, although his example is to be followed. It's not just something to be spoken about. Just like we had the book distribution marathon. This was a great program that Srila Prabhupada engaged his disciples in, that they would to do this, to distribute books. And Srila Prabhupada didn't just want one or two, he wanted them in large numbers, and he got them printed and told them, you have to distribute these books. I heard from Yogesh Chandra Prabhu. I don't think any of you saw him, but he was very dedicated to and very much promoting book distribution. So he was there in the early days, the beginning of the big book distribution in San Francisco with Keshav and Bhutatma, and Karanda was the Tamil president. He was there right in the beginning. So what got the devotees out to do, because they got all these books, these big books, and they had not got a clue how to sell them. Who's going to give $10? Those days, $10 was a lot of money. Who's going to give that? We're getting quarters, that means 25 cents for Back to Godhead. Who's going to spend $10 for a book? And I heard this from Yogesh Chandra. He said, Prabhupada said, unless you distribute these books, bye-bye. I'm going back to India. You won't see me again. He really put them on the spot. He pushed them. You're laughing. The disciples weren't laughing because they were afraid that Prabhupada is a very serious person. He's just going to go away. And we don't know how to distribute these books. We haven't got a clue. It's impossible. Prabhupada made it possible. And some devotees went out all day, door to door, 2 or 3. You sold 2 books. Ah, amazing, they could even sell one. Gradually they got up to 10. 10 in a day. And the devotees were in ecstasy at these unimaginable, huge book distribution. Some of the devotees are doing 10 books a day. And now we have literally hundreds and thousands being distributed, but still, to do that requires such determination, surrender, praying to Srila Prabhupada. He pushed us to be like him. You give yourself fully, mind, life, intelligence, everything. This book distribution gives us the chance to get the mercy that Srila Prabhupada got by fully surrendering. At least at the time of book distribution, one has to fully surrender. And it's not that you can just do book distribution and then go and put your legs up and drink a Coca-Cola, crack a few jokes. It doesn't work like that. You have to be fully absorbed 24 hours a day to do it. So that was one program, especially this program Srila Prabhupada gave us. Acharya, therefore he's an Acharya in the fullest sense of the term. He saw how to bring his disciples, their love for him, which he engendered and kindled within their hearts. So Srila Prabhupada, oh, you love me? All right, distribute those books. And by distributing the books, people become Krishna conscious. And then more people come to Krishna consciousness. And then Srila Prabhupada left our mortal vision and gave to his disciples the task of carrying forward the movement, being gurus, and accepting the same role as Srila Prabhupada. Now there was a lot of problem was caused in ISKCON by the first who took the role of guru, misunderstanding that we should be accepted as absolute on the same level as Srila Prabhupada. Everyone should know their own adhikar. This is a very important word in Krishna consciousness. When I was, over a period of several years, I several times visited one godbrother of Srila Prabhupada's, Jyoti Shekhar Prabhu, asking him so many things about the Gauriya Mata and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Then one time I asked him, then I didn't ask him until I visited him several times. How do you see what happened in the Gauriya Mata after Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur passed away? How did that come about? There are all so many devotees who dedicated their life in Krishna's service. How did that come about? And he replied that adhikara langham, transgressing or going beyond one's level of eligibility. if one tries to act on a level beyond his ability, then that will cause fall down. Now, someone comes from the ranks of the conditioned souls, gets some training in Krishna consciousness, and then is expected to teach others and become a guru. Srila Prabhupada, he wanted all his disciples to be gurus. And that's natural and normal. Just like a child becomes a parent. So in the same way, a brahmana who learns, he is required to teach what he learned. And this way the parampara goes on. And if they don't do that, then the parampara doesn't go on. If the children don't themselves become parents, then the family lineage becomes lost. Or if the knowledge which is received is not passed on in the next generation, then that also becomes lost. So we're expected to do that. Now, to be a guru, it's no small thing. To be a conditioned soul is disqualification for being guru. So what is to be done? If this knowledge is there, that one has received, the people in material life, some of them are coming forward to be Krishna conscious. The Guru's order is there. One has to do it. And it's possible to do it by remembering always that I'm completely dependent on the mercy of my Guru, which manifests among other ways as his instructions, which I have to follow very carefully. If we think that I can adjust this way, that way, the other way, then we lose the mercy of the Guru, and we lose our only platform of authenticity. Why can someone be accepted as a Guru? Then because Shrotriyam, he heard from his own Guru. And he's expected to speak the same thing. If he speaks something else, then he's no longer in the proper line. From the disciples' point of view, they have to accept the Guru as good as God, because he acts and speaks exactly to the right purpose. If he doesn't, that may be a matter of questioning. But even apparently if there's some serious defect, that instruction is given there, that Jadayama Nityananda Shura Bari Jai Tatapio Shemo Nityananda Rai. Srila Prabhupada quoted this. If I see Nityananda Prabhu going into a wine shop, then still I accept he's my worshipable Lord Nityananda. So we should think, if he's going to the wine shop, he's not going there to drink wine, he has some purpose, maybe to uplift the wine drinkers. But on the other hand, if you see a guru go every day to the wine shop and come out drunk, then there is grounds for questioning. So the Guru is accepted as good as God, but there is some qualifying conditions also. There's just like guaranteed product, but then you have to see the small print also. So the Guru is to be accepted as good as God, and will behave in such a way that disciples can learn from him how to be godly, how to be Krishna conscious, and in such a way that their faith in him won't be compromised. Otherwise it becomes very difficult. It's already difficult for the disciple to surrender to their life to someone when they are under the illusion that ahankara vimudhatma kartahamiti manyate. They're under the illusion that I'm independent, I can do what I like. So it's a very great commitment, if they actually do it, to surrender one's life to the Guru. So the Guru has to act in such a way that that surrender becomes properly channeled, and always be conscious how he's dealing with his disciples. And especially in Kali Yuga, it can be very difficult. We see Lakshman, Bharat, Shatrugna, they unquestioningly, of course they're the ideal younger brothers, they unquestioningly followed Lord Ram. There is a verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's quoted from some drama of how that I believe it's Ram speaking to Sita, that we have to follow the order of our Guru, our father, his father, because by doing so there will be auspiciousness for us. We have to follow his order. I have to follow his order. So that faith has to be there. And even if, because in Kali Yuga especially, there'll be misunderstandings. Why is the Guru doing with me like that? Why did the Guru tell me to cut my throat? That, yes, Prabhupada. God brother, Patit Pavan, told him, you take that knife and cut your throat. Told him. He had enough intelligence not to do it. Is that disobeying the order of the Guru? No, then it requires some intelligence also to follow. He didn't literally mean for him to cut his throat, but he was expressing his disgust with him of what it was. There was prasadam distributed, and the next morning Srila Prabhupada came and saw the dal had dried up. The area hadn't been cleaned. So Prabhupada said, he became angry and said, clean the floor. And then Patit Pavan gets out his penknife and starts scraping up the dal, which is a stupid thing to do. Because you have to get water and scrub it, right? So Srila Prabhupada, seeing that, said, you take that knife and cut your throat. Again in Bhaktivedanta Manna, my dear God brother, Prabhupada said, he said to Srila Prabhupada, there's so many rats here, should we kill them? And Prabhupada said to him 3 times, you should be killed. So what, should another disciple say, oh, Prabhupada said he should be killed, and then take him out and kill him? No. But you have to be ready to accept that. That much surrender is required. That idea should be there. Otherwise, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says here, we can't make any advancement. So on that ponderous note, something to think about, I'll finish this talk, which there's to be an initiation ceremony a little later. Parivadatu jano yata tata va nanu mukaro na vayam vicharayamaha hari rasa madhira madati mata bhuvi vilutama nakama nirvishama vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhavyavicha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.